It's time to talk television, online...
And, of course, movies. It's time for Screen. On Screen, Shane Jacobson on co-starring with a Maremma dog in Oddball.
How about we bung one of these on the island? He said, because I think my dog will protect him, because a penguin's just a chicken in a dinner suit.
Multiple award-winning actress Noni Hazelhurst on Soho's rebirth of A Place to Call Home.
She was never a bitch. She was always...
Well, she made a pretty good imitation at one stage. No. And an epic mountaineering thriller, Everest.
And a big round of applause for Tegan Higginbotham. Welcome back.
Thank you, Graeme. It's lovely to be back.
I always look forward to what you bring to us.
That's good. It's a really good little series that I've got. I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh, can't wait. Well, our first film is based on true events that took place in the coastal town of Warrnambool in Victoria. In the family film Oddball, named after a rambunctious Maremma sheepdog, eccentric chicken farmer Swampy Marsh, played by Shane Jacobson, discovers that, despite other deficiencies, Oddball has the talent to protect an endangered colony of penguins.
Well, I'll be blowed.
If they can't save the penguins, Swampy's daughter, the park ranger, played by Sarah Snook, will lose her job and possibly leave town, taking Swampy's beloved granddaughter, Olivia, Coco Jack Gillies, with her. So Swampy and Olivia team up with Oddball to save the colony and so keep the family together. But not everyone in town is on their side.
This is the third time the dog's been in trouble. Oddball stays confined to your farm.
Oddball isn't dangerous.
Last chance.
Welcome, Shane Jacobson.
Thank you.
Now, let me say straight off, you just don't look old enough to be a grandfather. You'll soon be getting all those Bill Hunter parts if you're not careful.
I don't think anyone can do all of Bill Hunter's parts.
No,
but,
that's absolutely true.
No, I'm playing a detective in Jack Irish, the fourth instalment of Jack Irish with
great
Guy
series.
Pearce. So I'm a detective, and for whatever reason, detectives aren't allowed to have facial hair. It's a crime. It's a crime in itself. So I've had to remove that.
Now, you're not a detective here in this wonderful little film.
Working with kids and dogs and, you know, they say, don't do it, don't do it.
W.C. Fields was the one that said it, didn't
He
he?
was?
Yeah, no, yeah, but so it had all of that. It had ample animals because there was penguins, chickens and dogs, and kids. So, you know, but the truth is that being that it's a film about dogs, penguins and chickens, I don't think I had the right to say, can we lose the animals? We'll do Lassie, but no dog.
Explain the context, because the true spirit of this film really is the true story behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the true story is that down in Warrnambool, which is south of Melbourne, there's an island, a small island. And when I say small, sort of the size of a football oval, really. And on it was a colony of penguins of about 1,000 strong. And the foxes at low tide figured, hence the term cunning fox, that they could cross the water and get to the penguins. And unfortunately, foxes are incredibly efficient at killing, and the population went from 1,000 down to 10, like, incredibly quickly.
Whoa.
So Swampy Marsh, who is a chicken farmer in Warrnambool and still is, that's the character I play, he's got these Maremma dogs. And remember the cartoon Morning Ralph, Morning Sam, with the dog that would clock on and protect the sheep? Well, that's based on a Maremma dog. So he's got Maremma dogs that protect his chickens from foxes, and he said to the council, look, I've got these Maremma dogs. And he said, how about we bung one of these on the island? He said, because I think my dog will protect him, because a penguin's just a chicken in a dinner suit. So I don't think they'll notice the difference. And they said, look, I don't think we can have a dog on a national park. And he said, has someone told the foxes that? They can't read your sign. And so he put the dog on the island, and he was right. And he has actually revolutionised the conservation practice of penguins all over the world. So that's the true story, and it's not an old story, because Oddball, which was the name of his dog that he put on the island, hence the title of the film is Oddball, is still alive today and retired from work, but living back on the farm with Swampy. So it's a great story.
Your persona and so many things now is this sort of like really solid, decent Aussie bloke.
I know it's a farce, isn't it?
Is it? But it must be sort of really nice to epitomise so much that's, you know, sort of like decent about this country.
Yeah, it is, and thank you for saying so. It's it makes my mum quite proud. She said, keep waiting for them to cast you as a killer. And I'm like, is that because you think
You're playing a cop?
Yeah, I am. I'm being a cop. So, look, it is, and the truth is, I think it's got more to do with the fact that I'm the size I am. Because we've lost Ricky May, so there's only one other big guy running around at the moment. It's me. Peter Hallier lost all his weight, which was more for him. He could have got the role.
Now, someone who doesn't look anything like Ricky May is our Tegan, who has a part in this film.
I am. I'm also in it, which is lovely.
This is just awful.
Especially if you're a penguin.
So I'm one of the park rangers. I get to work with Sarah Snook in a lot of her scenes, which was incredible getting to perform with Sarah, who's just gone from amazing to even greater at the moment. She's fantastic.
Quite a lot of the film is studio-based, I think, isn't it? Blue screen or green screen, whatever we like to call it.
We did a lot down in Warrnambool.
Yeah.
There was a few problems, and the reason we were forced, really, it's a strong word, but that we were required to go into a studio was, I was going to say we built the island. There was a few crew involved. There was a couple of guys that helped us, but no, the island was reconstructed in a studio for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can imagine the wind if you're filming on cliff tops down near the Great Ocean Road.
The sound is horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. But the other thing was the penguins that we used are from SeaWorld. And they've not been raised in the wild. So, in fact, we really couldn't risk putting them on an island where they might inhabit germs or bacteria that they've not experienced. And there could be nothing worse than making a film on penguin conservation and killing penguins in the making of it. Having said that, so that the set doesn't look like Lost in Space where no leaf moves, they then had to introduce these enormous fans, which then became as much of a problem for the audio as the wind would have been down in Warrnambool. So it was kind of a double-edged sword there. But yeah, it was mainly for the protection of the penguins.
Shane, it's so great to see you again. Thank you very much for coming up.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you very much. I'll come back every week, but I don't feel I'm required.
You'd be very welcome.
You've got open slather. You've got enough on. And you're a detective. You've got too much work to do.
I mean, we can't. Miss Missy anyway. She's got to stay here and look after you girls. No, Karen, this can work. I mean, we saved the penguins. Everything goes back to the way it was. Oddie's got it in him, somewhere. I mean, he's a Maremma dog. That's what they're supposed to do. Plus, penguins are just chickens in tuxedos.
OK, oddball, what do you think?
Oddball? Don't look at me and say oddball. I enjoyed this film enormously. I think it's a great film for kids that parents can really enjoy as well.
It's a family film, and it's interesting that Paper Planes was the other family film this year that did extremely well. And I think audiences are absolutely hungry for something that they can take the whole family to.
I think that's totally true. I think this has exactly the right combination of sweetness without ever being cloying or sentimental, and a kind of inspired looniness as well, as you can see from the casting of Mr. Jacobs and all those comics. I mean, it's got a lot of energy, a lot of comic energy.
A few contrivances in it. The Alan Tudyk role I found rather imposed, of this guy who wants to set up the island as a whaling station. And the denouement, I think, comes out of left field. Where did that come from? But it's a very sweet film. And I would give it, look, for me, it's a 3.5-star film.
Well, for me, it's a little bit more than that, because I thought, rather like Last Cab to Darwin, it celebrates a disappearing sense of community in rural Australia, and I think it does that with absolute finesse and a great deal of heart. So I'm giving it 4.
Good on you.
Thank you very much. Next up, Babylon, a new satirical drama on BBC First, which has been co-created by Oscar winner Danny Boyle, who also directs the first episode. Exhilarating and audacious and adrenaline film, the UK's Babylon examines the often complex relationship between the Metropolitan Police Service, a force that has lost the trust of its citizens, and the media. Britt Marling plays Liz Garvey, an American PR guru appointed Director of Communications by James Nesbitt's commissioner, in order to ensure that the Met's PR department is able to cope with the intense scrutiny to which the force is increasingly subjected. Astringent, dark humour is the name of the game here, in a skillfully written cop drama that's relentless in pacing but presented with a high degree of empathy.
My refrigerator is, you don't need to know this, but it buzzes like zzz
really loud while I'm trying to sleep.
OK, that's bad. I'll be around to 2,200 hours to fix it.
Oh, well, I don't know if that would be...
I'm joking, Liz.
Right. No, me too.
Be warned, it starts with a standoff involving aggro cops, a pantless and underwearless man, and a tasered dog. Margaret.
Well, I was looking forward to this because I knew you were very enthusiastic about it. But I found the farcical element sat really badly. That assistant to the commissioner, who is so dumb, can you believe that he would keep him on? The dumb cop, Robbie, is... Oh, you know, I mean, they sit so badly and so obviously and unsubtly in this drama. And the other thing is the genitalia-based language, you know, everything is related to that part of the body.
Well, yes, well, it's written by two writers, Sam Bain and Jesse Armstrong, who are writers on the thick of it. The very profane political satire, and they've just brought that profanity with them. I didn't mind the profanity at all. I thought it had enormous energy to the thing.
It's so relentless it becomes tedious, and it's not really fun.
Well, it's almost Kafkaesque in its relentlessness, this series. It just sort of piles moment on moment, satire on satire, and which I think makes it work for me enormously well. It also works very well as a pretty straight, if very, very dark drama, with a lot of sort of witty asides sort of tossed into it.
But they're so incompetent as well. I imagine Scotland Yard looked at this series and absolutely wanted to take a pot shot at the producers because they are incompetent. They go to an accident scene. The ambulance runs into the police car. I mean, it's just a...
So?
Well, it doesn't happen like that. I found a lot of it just unbelievable.
Well, it is a satire, and it is a comedy, and it also is a kind of pretty bleak drama at the same time. And I thought, in that respect, the way that it combines those three elements was pretty experimental, and I found it absolutely gripping viewing.
It was too experimental for me. I think I'd only give it 3.5.
I'm giving it 4.
After the break, struggle, hope and drama on Mount Everest.
Noni Hazelhurst describes returning from a television graveyard as her matriarch character, Elizabeth Bligh, has a new place to call home on Foxtel's Soho. Welcome back. Later in the show, we'll be joined by Noni Hazelhurst. But first, to a dramatic action film based on true events.
Reaching the summit of the highest mountain in the world is attracting increasing numbers of adventurers. Everest tells the story of one such expedition. Rob Hall, played by Jason Clarke, is an experienced Kiwi mountaineer. In the summer of 1996, he led a group of climbers attempting to summit Everest.
So the game is, can we get you up to the top, down to the bottom? Before that happens.
He teamed up with another group led by Scott Fisher, Jake Gyllenhaal, to ensure maximum safety on the climb, which was beset by avalanches, storms, and an unreliable supply of oxygen.
Just go.
They begin to realise not everyone is going to make it back down the mountain alive.
Can you hear me? Rob? You've got to get moving.
If anyone can make it,
You can.
I love you.
I had to keep taking the glass. I couldn't watch anymore. There were so many times when I literally could not watch this film. I was terrible. I've got a bit of a problem with heights to start with. And there were scenes where they
me too.
Could you do the same?
I had my head between my knees in one sequence, particularly. Yeah. But didn't you feel that, you know, the details of this expedition are actually known? So what this is an experiential film.
Yes.
I mean, you're just going through what they went through.
Well, almost literally, you know,
yes.
if that could be possible, yes.
But did you, the cost of that, I think, is with the number of characters you're dealing with, there was really not a lot of chance to develop individual characters very much.
No, it was much more about the visceral, as you suggest, the visceral experience of being there. And the director, Balthazar Komica, who's an Icelandic director who apparently has directed a number of ice films up in that very icy part of the world, said they didn't want to do a cinema verite type of look at this. He wanted to give you a sense of the grandeur of the mountain and the sheer impossibility of climbing that mountain, which is why he treated it like that. And it's what's shot in three continents. There's studio work in Italy, in London as well. It's an immensely
I thought they shot a lot of the
filmmaking.
mountain stuff in Italy too.
Yes.
But the impression I got at the end, I mean, it's all these teams attempting to go through this narrow window. There's something obscene about
Does it suggest that this should be the end of climbing, almost? I mean, this is maybe the greatest piece of film ever made about the nature of climbing, but maybe it's also suggests the death knell. Maybe this all should just stop.
But it'd kill Nepal, and Nepal needs all the help it can get at the moment. So let's not wish that on them. But look, I would give this 3.5 stars.
I'm going to give it 4 because I've never, ever quite experienced something so absolutely horrifying that I wondered why on earth I ever go to the movies. But at the same time, I could not stop looking. I'd take them off and put them back on. No, not more. So it's got 4 from me. Now to an Australian drama on Foxtel's Soho. Bevanley's A Place to Call Home is a sweeping romantic drama set in 1950s rural Australia. It follows the lives of the Blighs, a wealthy and complicated pastoralist family in New South Wales. And on Channel 7, it cemented its place in TV history and in people's hearts.
A disturbed man gained possession of a gun. I can't understand. Oh, if anything happens to George,
I'll do a change of clothes.
Noni, it's so lovely to have you here for such a great series.
Thank you.
And your character, Elizabeth Bligh, are you happy with the evolution of this character, which I find fascinating?
Look, it's a lovely thing to be in a role where it's acknowledged that people evolve. You know, that they're not just static. None of us are the same person we were, 5 years ago. So it's lovely to also counter all those people who say, oh, Elizabeth's such a bitch. You know, she was never a bitch. She was always...
Well, she made a pretty good imitation at one stage.
No. She had very good reasons for being the way she was, including that bunch of ingrates, her family. But no, she's a very sad character in a sense because she's so covered up. She's got so many layers, so many layers to peel away, and she's just starting to realise now at her age, in her 60s, that maybe she's been making some wrong decisions that haven't served her.
Well, that's
she's really lovely
She's
now.
trying very hard at the start of the third series. She wants to travel, and she's quite a sort of almost submissive character at the start of the new series. She's almost charming.
Well, I think she's hit pretty much rock bottom for her, and as a mother whose children have left home, it is a period of transition when your children no longer need you. And so she has to redefine herself alone as opposed to just being the front person for the family. So it's lovely to see that sort of development and see her at a loss also.
Yes.
Because she doesn't know where to go, which way to jump.
I thought it was a mark of the sophistication of the writing of the show that Elizabeth actually, very early in the third series, in the first episode, starts to talk about the great travel writer, the great feminist Freya Starker.
Yes.
I thought I almost fell off my seat. I thought, this is really clever. And you explain it, well, Elizabeth explains it so well that even if you don't know who this great pioneering woman was, you very quickly learn her importance to both the world and to Elizabeth. It's very clever.
Indeed, and I love the fact that we can bring these people back into the public's attention because, like so many Australian women in particular who've achieved great things, Nancy Wake was another example, they're not known.
Thinking about history, what about this show? How did it come to Foxtel? What happened at Channel 7? Tell us the story.
How long have we got?
Tell us the story.
Well, look, we were all initially contracted for a 3-year period with 2 options, one firm series and 2 options. And when the second one went to air, we were told, we'd have a May deadline where they'd make a decision, but they asked us to shoot 2 endings to the second series, at which point I thought the writing was probably pretty much on the wall. And then when it started to be screened later and later and later, on a Sunday night, I really thought, there were no billboards, nothing. So it seemed like the decision had been made not to go ahead. So when it was finally cancelled, this huge fan movement swelled up, and several groups were formed, including the Save a Place to Call Home group, which is now over 5,500 members from all over the world. And they, with a little bit of encouragement from the side, they bombarded the network with up to 3,000 letters a week for weeks and weeks and weeks. And Brian Walsh at Foxtel got wind of this and with a little bit of encouragement from, I believe, his sister, who loved the show. He looked at it and decided he wanted it. And knowing that Foxtel really wants to make an impact with Australian drama, he went for it, and we were just delighted because we've got 2 firm seasons and an option for a 3rd, so it's brilliant.
No, it's great.
And it wasn't finished.
No,
you know, it was not finished.
I wanted more.
Oh, so did we all, Margaret.
Yes. It's been an absolute delight to have you with us.
Thank you
very
so
much.
No, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
You are so utterly willful. Come away from him.
I had to see him.
Get out. Now.
He will want to see me.
Leave.
I'll leave, but I'm not going anywhere.
Do you know, Graeme, I've been focused on film for many, many years, so I'm only just catching up with Australian drama. I'm so impressed by this. I loved Wentworth. I mean, that was an amazing series, continues to be. This is fabulous as well.
It is. It's an absolutely exemplary piece of drama at every level.
It's really nicely written.
Yes.
It's beautifully performed. I mean, Marta Dusseldorp in this series is she's exquisite.
Yes.
And the makeup when she's older, you know, I mean, it's the best older makeup I think I've ever seen.
No, the performance is right through. Everything about this is just absolutely top class and highly, highly intelligent. I love the way it references Douglas Sirk's social melodramas of the 50s. Bevan Lee was very influenced by Sirk in creating
well,
this.
It shows,
It does, doesn't it?
In
the photography and the slightly stylised look of it, and the way that the social messages are buried so cleverly in the stylisation as well. It's absolutely terrific drama. It's so wonderful, really, that it's found a new home and that Foxtel's picked it up.
I think it's really, really beautifully done and beautifully recreated, you know, as a period piece.
So what are you giving it?
I'm giving it 4 stars.
I'm giving it 4.5 stars.
You've always got to go 1 or half better
well,
than me.
I think it deserves. I was always going to give it 5, and when you gave it 4, I probably pulled back mentally a little bit, cognitively. No, I think it's absolutely terrific. It's 4.5 from me. God, you're mean today.
In 2006, when a series of murders of prostitutes rocked the normally peaceful Suffolk town of Ipswich, playwright Alecki Blythe monitored community reaction by recording interviews with locals, particularly those living in London Road. She adapted these verbatim interviews into an avant-garde musical, which was staged at London's National Theatre. And now that production forms the basis of a film. Through an ensemble cast that includes Olivia Colman and Tom Hardy, London Road tells the story of ordinary people banding together in troubled times.
Obviously, we're in charge of, something to do with these pull-downs.
And that's when it all started, it all kicked off. I'm outside number 79. And I thought, oh no.
Great.
Well, I don't know, maybe it's the old theatre actor and theatre director in me, but I really was absolutely fascinated by this piece of work. It kind of blends drama, musical and documentary to make something really quite unique, even if at times it's a little wearing, to say the least. The music is quite striking, and because it's a piece of, originally a piece of verbatim theatre, they keep all the ums and ahs, even in the singing, so you get, I'm not feeling, I'm not feeling, well... Very, very sort of odd initially. And I must say that I saw it with 3 female critics of a certain age, and they all absolutely loathed it. I was the only person to even vaguely enjoy this film.
Well, I found in the early days, you know, you do that take back when they first start singing, you go, wow. And then there's that scene in the market where it's a big chorus of people.
That was fascinating.
And I thought, wow, this is really dynamic and different and fabulous. And then as it went on, I found most of these people quite banal and uninteresting. And I ended up wondering what the point of the whole thing was, really, with that flowery ending. I sort of went, I don't know why I've gone on this journey, actually.
It was a little obvious too, filmically, I think, the way it went from the drabness of the colour palette to begin with, and then as things started to sort of clear up judicially, we start to have colours and balloons and shots of the sky, and that was perhaps touching a little on the banal.
There was something about the whole that I found fairly unsatisfactory, but there were moments that were completely galvanising.
Yes.
Look, I'm going to be a 3.5-star girl today.
I'm 3.5 as well.
Hey.
We're doing well. We're meeting in the same place here. This is good. Maybe it's not. Now, Tegan, you found a terrific Canadian piece for us this week. Tell us about it.
I have. It's really good. It's set on Wall Street in the 1970s. This 10-part web series, Whatever Lender, centres on this down-on-her-luck secretary, Linda Thoroughbred, as she and her co-workers devise a money-making racket that, the show suggests, ultimately inspires Bernie Madoff's famous Ponzi scheme. Styled to the max, the show's creators, Hannah Cheeseman and Julian Dezzotti, have gone to great lengths to produce a slick, professional period piece. The very fact that they chose not to refer to Whatever Linda as a web series, but rather an internet odyssey, shows just how ambitious they were.
You know, that doesn't have to be our only haul. We could do it again. And again. And again. Hell, what if we never stop?
I really like this series, I really do. I think that if it has one flaw, it's that sometimes the comedy just doesn't mesh with the drama very well. I don't actually think it needed the comedy. I think it was, the drama was exciting enough, but it's a strong, very versatile female cast, and I love that. I really do.
Very, very, very stylish as well, as you suggest.
It's beautiful.
I think the meshing of the drama with the comedy works okay.
I don't know. There was just a couple of scenes that I felt were jarring. I just felt like they almost went, right, we want this scene to be funny, now we want this scene, you know, and I think they got a bit lost sometimes, yeah.
I just felt that I'd sort of seen this sort of thing before, you know, if you can't beat them, join them, you know, and...
But you've seen everything before. You have watched 400
well, they say
million
there are
films.
only 7 stories in the world.
It's all again, yeah.
But I must say, the production values in this
Very high.
are extraordinary. Yeah. And it's so great seeing all these series from women. Yeah. You know, I mean, what a forum for them. It's great.
I appreciate that you can see how much they loved the project and everything, the costumes, the cinematography, even the music, it's all perfect, absolutely perfect, yeah.
Yeah. No, well done for finding that one.
Thank you, I'm glad you liked it.
How much time do you spend trawling the web?
A lot.
Well, we'll let you get back to it, Tegan. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us on screen.
See you next time.